Good evening. Welcome to the 7 o'clock hour of our live coverage of the winter storm for February 11th, 2025. Of course, it's a Tuesday evening. And we're starting to see the snow spread northward. And we're going to get a pretty good idea of just which model is right in the next 2 hours. Because if you lean on the HRR, well, then it's not going to snow at all in New York City. And if you lean more on the NAM or the European, then we could be looking at 2, 3 inches of snow. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this evolves over the next 2 hours, kind of the breaking point, because not so much of the actual snow accumulation, but just how far north that precipitation shield gets. So let's take a look at the observations here. And you can see temperatures are starting to fall off here in Long Island. Clearly a sign of Virgo taking shape here. It's been taking shape in central New Jersey, and now we have steady snow in Freehold, steady snow in Belmar, moderate snow showing up in Philadelphia. We are also seeing that down in southern New Jersey, Wildwood. We're seeing moderate snowfall throughout Delaware. Again, these are the areas where we're expecting anywhere between 4 to 8 inches of snow. So, and the snow is accumulating once it starts. So that's another difference here. When you take a look at the radar, you can see the northern extent here getting, in terms of the Virga, getting as far north as the Hudson River Valley. So you could see that precipitation shield in terms of the Virga. That is precipitation falling from the clouds, but then falling into a dry layer. When we take a look at the zoomed in radar at the lowest level, you see this showing up here. This tells me that this precipitation shield is going to reach and exceed New York City, because we're starting to see this signal showing up all the way up into Long Island and now the Long Island Sound. Remember, previously, as this precipitation shield was pushing northward, we started to see that echo showing up in southern New Jersey, and then it started to snow. Central New Jersey, and then it started to snow. And now we're seeing it up towards Long Island. So I do expect that snow to continue to expand northward. Again, the idea here is that only a dusting in Connecticut, the Hudson River Valley, northern New Jersey, a few locations will get an inch or so. Right around the New York City metro, 1 or 2 inches, 2 to 4 inches on the south side of Manhattan and also on the south side of Long Island. This all lines up pretty nicely to what we're seeing in the observations. And in terms of the lifting, again, you can see in the infrared satellite picture, the coldest cloud tops are focusing right over the mid-Atlantic. Again, that's where we would see the strongest lifting. And another factor to watch is the frontogenesis at 700 millibars, clearly aligning on the I-95 corridor. So this all points to the snow shield expanding northward. So perhaps the HRR might be a little too dry, but we'll see how that plays out over the next couple of hours. Take a look at the frontogenesis at the mid-level, at 850 millibars, generally focused over the southern mid-Atlantic around the Delmarva, where again we're expecting the heaviest snowfall, and down to 925 millibars is even further south. It's off the map. So this is clearly being driven by mid-level frontogenesis at 700 millibars, while our 850 millibar temperatures are well below freezing. So this alignment here, when we're dealing with winter storms, you see this zone right here. Typically, your heaviest snowfall, because of the best what we call snow growth, usually occurs between -6 and -8 degrees. And where do we see that lining up? Basically over southeastern Pennsylvania and south central New Jersey. So this is very interesting to see this lineup set up just right as this event is developing. We'll see whether or not this continues to remain in place, but this would explain why we're seeing some nice moderate to heavy bursts and some reports of snow accumulation as high as 2 inches already in portions of northern Delaware. So the evolution of this storm continues to be pretty much as expected. So that's certainly an interesting observation here. So now, what we're going to be watching over the next 2 hours is whether or not snow starts to show up and get into the observations in Long Island and in New York, JFK, maybe around Newark, in the next 2 hours. So that is the 8 o'clock hour and the 9 o'clock hour. And the forecast is for the snow to start in these locations at the 9 o'clock hour, whereas the HRR has no snow whatsoever. So we're going to see what the actual outcome is going to be. In the meantime, stay safe out there.